Good morning, Ian. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing so great. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. How do you prepare for a moment like what you're going through this morning? Because I mean, there are 1,000 questions coming at you a mile a minute, and it's like wow. And I mean, how are you embracing this?
Oh man. I'd say almost every time I usually just get up right out of bed and I take a deep breath and I say, well, what happens, happens.
Yeah. But see, that's a great feeling because I call that stream thinking in the way that, you know what, I'm going to live in the moment of now. And what happens in this is I learned that in martial arts where my Sabadim would say, can you control it? Are you in control? And if I said no, he says, then walk away from it. Just get away. And I mean, do you
Yeah.
live the same kind of path?
Yeah, kind of. Basically, I'm just like, you know, I can control what I can control and everything else is gonna roll right off and I'm not gonna worry about it.
Picking up that guitar, your father gave you a guitar. I mean, what is that moment like? Because I cherish my Ibanez Flying V, which also came from my father, and it's like there's so much history in the instruments that we bring with us.
Yeah, it is definitely the guitar that I take care of the most. It's a T-Haru from Japan, but it's like, I mean, it's got to be 30 something years old. It's got this gorgeous pearl inlay. I mean, I love that guitar. I love it. It's the one I learned to play on. It is the one that I like. If I have a really big show that I'll take, other than that, I cherish that thing.
I always have that Peter Frampton kind of fear though when I take the guitar out there and into a place where there's a lot of other people because I'm always afraid it's going to turn up missing. And I'm thank God he found his guitar several years later, but it's still that fear of losing that one guitar.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I don't have that fear about my other guitars. Like I can bring those and I can beat them up, and I do not care. But that,
That's the way I am with writing instruments because I collect Mont Blancs and stuff like that, and there are only a certain amount of these writing instruments that I'll bring out because I'm afraid I'm going to break the nib on them or something like that. And it's like, oh dang, now what?
yeah, exactly.
One of the things that we have in common is that we sang in choir at school. I also did some really crazy stunts. Like I wanted to be the baritone, so I unpurposely tried to take it down there and sucked really bad. What's some crazy things that you used to do?
Um, well, my choir career ended in eighth grade, but I feel like I was always so nervous about me not being able to almost hit all the baritone notes,
Hmm.
and I was always a tenor. And I think that was always challenging for me to accept until I really leaned into it.
So
I feel like that was the biggest thing for me.
you got to be a baritone. You lucky son of
Oh,
a gun,
now I
you.
am.
Oh my
Now I
God.
am.
It was one of the things that I loved about school choir in the first place is that it taught you how to collaborate. It taught you that it wasn't centrally about you, but you had to work as a team in order to bring things together.
And I think it honestly made it sound prettier.
Yeah, I'll give
I
you.
love cool sounds.
Yeah, yeah. Was there a certain period of music that you guys studied? Because we did Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'll never forget that. I still hold on to what we created as a group.
Oh man, we sang Latin and historical songs.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God! So that means that you weren't just a choir; you guys had to put the movement involved as well.
Uh, not a ton. Every now and then we do like a show where we actually did move, but a lot of it was literally just like, songs with a lot of vowel control and reading off the page and stuff like that.
Wow. Being at the age that you are at 20 years old, there used to be a time in music when that was retirement age. I mean, that's when Mick Jagger, they said should have retired, but he didn't. He's kept going all the way up into his late 70s. What is it like for you at your age, knowing that you have a full career waiting for you to bring it forward?
Oh man, it's nerve-wracking, definitely, but it is also probably one of the most exciting things that I could ever like ask for. The fact that this opportunity has been laid in front of me is just a thing that I couldn't be more thankful for.
Is it a showcase in the way that so many musicians will go to LA and and rent out the art museums and stuff like that? Because I know they try to turn it into a competition, but as a viewer, I don't feel there's a competition. I just feel like that you guys are you're it's like a gigantic big concert.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of the way I feel like it feels between the contestants. Like we're all really good friends. We don't want to compete against each other. We know that each and every one of the people there is talented, but a lot of it's just like it is what it is, and we're gonna enjoy the best of it.
How big is that stage? And the reason why I bring that up is because it looks larger than life on TV, but I know that how big is it? Because it's just one of those things that is always on the mind of a viewer.
It's not that big in person.
Thought so. But you guys make it so big, though.
Yeah, that widescreen fit definitely makes it bigger. I feel like the other thing is that the judges are closer than they appear to.
Oh, really? Because I
They're
have.
like they're almost right in front of you.
So when that chair turns, oh my God.
Yeah. Like it's like they're right there. You can see them, their whole face. You can see exactly everything. Like it's crazy.
Well, Ian, during the blind auditions, how did you keep going then when they turned? Because I mean, I would just say, man, thank you so much, man. That's so cool. And I would have started the interview process right there.
I feel like the biggest thing for me, my nerves were going so hard
Mm-hmm.
that as soon as Blake turned, I was just like, "Oh, thank God, I'm safe." I was like, "Yeah, that's it." Like I just needed it.
You were stolen by John Legend. Is that like an NFL player that's traded to another team? Does a whole game change?
It really does. It's so cool. It's honestly like being a part of another team and going in a different direction. It's awesome.
No. So when you join that team, I mean, all of a sudden you're becoming a part of those players. How do you get into that? I realize it's not. We're not going to call this a competition, but you're still stepping into a different circle.
Yeah. I feel like the biggest thing that I was nervous about moving to John's team not only was working with John, but the fact that John had just like some crazy talented vocalists in my mind on his team. And it felt like it was going to be a lot more competition for me. And I wasn't sure if I was ready. I was just scared, you know?
Mm. So then do you use those other people on the team then as tools as well? I mean, you sit there and you vocally exchange ideas and plans?
Oh, I mean, when you sit down with them, of course, like there's times where Team John was all in the same room and we'd all just, hang out and talk and like talk about our music and stuff like that. So of course that happens. Yeah.
What is the one thing that you've learned the most that you it's like I got to remember this. I've got to remember this.
Hmm. It's a tough question.
Maybe it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, maybe it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. And that's what I like about creativity in general is the fact that we're such open souls to allowing new ideas and new thoughts to basically help create our paths.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very good statement.
Coming from Columbus, there's a lot of sound that comes out of the Ohio area. Is it because the roots of rock and roll are right there at the Hall of Fame? What is it about Ohio that really delivers the sound?
That's a good question. I mean, I've seen a lot of artists come out of Ohio and really just like, I mean, they've had some pretty successful careers. I mean, 21 Pilots, John Legend, Kid Cudi, like the list goes on. But I mean, I don't know what it is about Ohio. Just Ohio people support, and there's some talented folks here.
Is it the rivalry between the Buckeyes and Michigan?
I mean, that always helps.
Don't they have that game this weekend, the two of them? Or was that already played?
No, that one hasn't been played yet. Michigan played Michigan State this weekend. It'll be in a couple weeks.
Oh my God! It's just amazing how Ohio is always on fire with something to do, and I just love to talk with people from Ohio because here in the Carolinas, a lot of your families are moving down here, and to hear the stories of what goes on back home is just amazing to me.
Yeah, no, seriously, I love Ohio. I love the energy. I love the football games. I love everything about it.
What is your vision of the future? Are you going to stay in Ohio, or are you going to be like so many musicians and they're going to make their way to LA? I mean, now that you've had a taste of Los Angeles, oh my God, Ian, that place, no matter what you are, you're accepted.
Yeah, I feel like that's a tough question because if I had to go out to LA for a career for a few years just to get started and eventually I can move somewhere else, I think I would do that. But I don't think LA is my ideal location, but I also am not sure that Ohio is either.
Mm-hmm. Singing a Billie Eilish song. I mean, her and her brother sitting in the. I just have this vision of them putting their first album together, sitting in that bedroom, recording and doing overdubs and punch editing and things like that. I mean, she has opened up the door for your generation to say, "Hey, look, do it at home, do it in your own studio, grow organically."
That is such a good point. I also think that it's like good to mention that Phineas is probably like, I mean, one of the best producers in the industry right now. Like he can produce it in a bedroom because he's just that talented. Like there's like there's a lot that goes into it, and it's so cool, and I love every aspect of it.
I listened to him with Howard Stern and stuff like that, and it's just amazing how his imagination is able to tap into the rhythm of life, basically. And it's just and then for him at such an early age as well to be able to find that sound. What do you do to locate your sound? I mean, is there meditation involved, or do you take a long walk? What is it that helps Ian find that moment?
A lot of times I'll put the chord progression on a loop on like just a pad that I like.
Yep.
Put it on a loop. And if I have to, I'll play around with other sounds, but sometimes it just kind of like, comes to me. I feel like the biggest thing I like is like layered vocals with like a choral sound, like stuff like that. Like I love to implement that in the music.
Do you ever listen to what's called frequency music? Because it sounds like what they do with frequency music.
Not a ton, no.
Yeah, I love when you start layering and stuff like that. That allows the imagination to have several different steps where it can climb. Today, I'm going to listen to this inside this song. It almost serves as like an invitation to keep coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have a studio at home then?
Yeah, a mini one.
I mean, see, but yeah, a mini one. But in your head and heart, my God, it's larger than life.
Oh yeah, no, it's so cool. It's fun. I spend a lot of time there.
How often do you get in there? Because creativity is one of those things that can consume a whole entire day.
Yeah, of course. I feel like when I'm in there, I a lot of times forget to eat when I've been there all day. Um, but I mean, it depends. Right now, I'm kind of holding back a bit because, but I'm also like writing,
Mhm.
just not in the studio yet.
Mm. So lyrically speaking, have things changed? Because there for a while, even with, and I love me some hip hop, but the thing is, it was all starting to sound the same. So lyrically speaking, in this present day, is it changing since we've gone through so much?
That's a good point. You know what? I don't know.
Because I mean, I understand, we got to get to the hook, we got to get to the chorus, we've got to get to this, and radio always had that rule that was, if I don't get to the hook in 25 seconds, and I always thought that's so abusive to the songwriters. You're forcing them to get to the hook of a song in 25 seconds, and it should be, I mean, because I really believe that you guys, if you needed a 4-minute song intro, give it to them.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the biggest thing for me is I don't want to be tied down to like the layout of a normal song, you know, verse, chorus, bridge. Like I don't want to be held to that. Like I definitely think I'd experiment with doing other things.
What's your long-term vision? What do you want to do? Do you want to form a band? Do you get in the studio, record some music? What's that next step? Because listeners are following you now because you're on NBC's The Voice, but it's always that next question. What's next?
I think you're gonna have to wait and see, but you're gonna be excited.
Listen to you. Hey, that's a binge watcher right there. You just gave me a cliffhanger, dude.
Uh-huh.
Are you binge watching any TV?
At the moment, Supernatural.
Now, where's that found at?
Netflix.
Really, really. It's so strange how Netflix has really tapped into that. Would you ever create something in the way of like a listen binge watching? In other words, where people have to keep coming back no matter what to get the next part of the story?
Yes, of course.
That's
I love it. It's great.
It is great. Where can people go to find out more about you, give you some love, and start giving you some serious support by way of, because I know you're going to be the type of person that's going to have merchandise and stuff like that. So where can they go to get that journey started?
You can go to my Instagram, which is ian.harrison, or you can go to my TikTok, which is at I'm Ian Harrison.
Dude, please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, dude. Be brilliant today.